Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? This is Coach Bill with Weight Loss Made Easy. Today is Thursday. Today I have this is my black coffee. So, if it is Thursday, what is Bill and I or Emily and I doing today? And we're doing our normal 23-hour fasting on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays now. I've actually extended my 20-hour fast on Saturdays to 23 hours because it's pretty easy for me to do that. So today, guys, you guys have heard me talk about many times about groups that I'm in, keto groups, intermittent fasting groups, and type 2 diabetic groups. And you've heard me talk about, I get a lot of good content out of the questions that are coming up in these groups. Sometimes I'll even input some of my information that will hopefully try to help them. But I'm getting this topic today. The topic today, guys, is should I skip breakfast or dinner when you're doing intermittent fasting? Which is a great question. Because Emily and we mostly skip breakfast, and we've been doing this for a few years now. Actually, we've been doing it longer than a few years. We've never actually worked out on a meal before we train in the mornings. And normally we work out, I don't know, around 10 or 11, somewhere there. When we can't, I have never been able to eat first and then go to the gym and train. I've always eaten maybe a half hour to 45 minutes after a hard training session. So what's coming up here, what's interesting about this question is the topic, which is, should I skip breakfast or dinner? People want to know what are the better results? Is it better to skip breakfast, or is it better to skip dinner to get better results in a short amount of time? That's a great question, because honestly, until I did my research these last few years, I didn't know either. I thought, Emily and I have been doing this for a long time, and we're pretty well fat adapted and ketone adapted, and we basically lost all of our body fat that we wanted to, and now we're able to maintain our low body fat by the two programs. We do high fat, low carb meals, and we combine it with alternate day fasting. We'll mix it up. You can go to my YouTube channel, type in Bill, maybe subscribe to it, and check out some of the YouTubes there that explains what the what the meal plan is and the fasting plan is that we do. You also go to my YouTube or go to my Facebook group page, join it, Fat Loss Made Easy, and there's videos and actually some great fat burning recipes in the downloads there also. But the question is, I'm going to try to answer this question about skipping breakfast or dinner. And I'm only going to do it, it's going to be like an overview. I actually, after I got finished writing this outline, I realized that the information on this outline comes up a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and include this video and the outline in my training modules for my online personal coaching clients, or for clients that do purchase a course from me, because the information is going to help them, or help explain to them which way is better, skipping breakfast or skipping dinner. So I'm going to go ahead and include this in my training module for all my clients now. But first of all, guys, most people think that hunger is dependent on how long you have gone without eating. It kind of makes sense, right? That's what most people feels like it is, or look at it as that being going without eating, the hunger part of it. But that's not true. You guys have heard me talk about this in the past. The amount of hunger you feel depends on the hormones in our bodies, and they vary throughout the day. That's you've heard me talk about hormones all the time, and how certain hormones will cause you to have an appetite, or if you see something, if you see an advertisement on TV that pops up, and it's food, and all of a sudden you feel your stomach starts to make noises and you feel hungry, what you've done is you've activated your, what I call your time clock hormone, gremlin, and that sends a message to your brain when you watch that and say, well, man, that looks good. I'm hungry now. So what do? You go and then you snack. Once you become fat adapted or ketone adapted, like Emily and I, we can go 24 to 36 hours without eating and be around food. And we have that ghrelin hormone, that appetite increasing hormone under control. And we have another hormone that causes you to actually gain fat. We have them both under control, so we don't have those issues like we had in the past. Also, there was a study done that showed, this is very interesting too, which I didn't know. See, that's what's so cool about doing research. There's a lot of new science coming out about high fat, low carb meals and intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting. There's a lot of great research coming out about it. But there was a study done that showed people who were the hungriest and the least hungry on this research. And what they found was the people that were the least hungriest was first thing in the morning. People will wake up 6, 7, 8, or 9, and they found out in this research they weren't hungry. And that's interesting. And yet you hear these people say constantly, "Gosh, Bill, how do you go so long without eating? I mean, there's no way my blood sugar would drop or I'd starve to death." Well, interesting enough, those of you that don't think you can fast, guess what? You're not eating while you're asleep, right? What is interesting about this study is you guys have gone 10 to 12 to 14 hours without eating, and yet at 8 a.m. you are the least hungriest you will be all day. So the research showed these people that in the morning they were the least hungriest, and they went 10, 12, 14 hours without food. And they're still not hungry at around 8 p.m. or 9 in the morning. That's, to me, is pretty much a no-brainer. Okay, so anyway, so why did this happen? That's the question. Why did this research, or why did these people why weren't they hungry at that time after they fasted for 10, 12, 13 hours or so while they're asleep? Well, because of hormones. Okay, so which hormones are important? During our sleep, we know that we are about to wake up, and this is what's going to activate these certain hormones. At 4 a.m. or 5 a.m., and there are certain, at 5 or 4 a.m., there are certain hormones that are about to go up, which means that when you start to move around or you start to wake up, there are certain hormones that are activated. And these hormones are designed to activate every morning like that. And the reason for that is so that you can get your day started. That's how you get your day started. These hormones that are activated at that time is your growth hormones. Okay, so You've heard me talk about that, especially you seniors. You seniors that are 40, 50, or no, I shouldn't say 40. Not, you're not quite seniors yet. But when you hit your 50s, 60s, and older, growth hormones play a big part in slowing premature aging. So you need to do whatever it takes in order to keep your growth hormones spiked throughout the day. But your growth hormones spike first thing in the morning, and that's where I'm getting at here. So what are the hormones that are activated around 4 or 5 or 6 in the morning when you start to move around? Your growth hormone is number one, melatonin's number two, and prolactin is number three. The closer to 6 a.m. and to 7 a.m. you get, cortisol will be dumped in your blood. So that hormone, also testosterone is activated also. And some of the other, there's other hormones also, including what your sex, there's certain sex hormones that are activated. This happens every day, guys, before you wake up 7 days a week. The point of these hormones is to get our bodies ready for the upcoming day. That's what these are. The other thing is, they also depress the appetite, and that's why you're not waking up in the mornings. I mean, that's why you're not hungry first thing in the morning. The real question is it really necessary to eat breakfast? Not really. Our body is doing such a good job feeding itself by drawing food out of your own fat cells. I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about this a few times. Most of you out there, and I still have some on my body I'm trying to get rid of, but most of you out there have enough fat cells to feed you if you don't eat any calories. In other words, you have plenty of stored up food to be used as energy throughout the day. That's why it's so easy for Emily and I to do a 24-hour fast 3 days a week, or a 36-hour fast if we want to. It's because our body is acclimated to burning fat. Our body, our body knows where it can get energy from or food from. If there's absolutely if I'm not taking any calories in for a certain amount of time, it knows what it has to do. Yeah, it has to be taught that. You just can't jump into doing this without going through certain steps, and that's why having a coach like myself to guide you through those steps at the very beginning, so you don't make the mistakes and you don't quit early. You get you want to do it right the first time and go into it slowly. Now, like I said, guys, you've got plenty of food sitting in those cells. Now you can break your fast. You can break a fast, which is breakfast in the morning if you'd like, or you could break your fast at 12 or 2 o'clock, and you can even go till 6. Because remember what I'm saying. It's much easier for you guys to break your fast in the morning because of those certain hormones I mentioned, and because you're not hungry. It just doesn't matter, because your body will find the energy it needs to go throughout the day. So don't feel like something's going to happen, or don't feel like the body is going to just go crazy because you have no more food in your body, or you're not eating anything for a certain amount of time. The body's going to find a way to find that food in those fat cells. When you're trying to decide about skipping breakfast or dinner in a fast, when you're fasting, there are several considerations. Okay, so this is where the what do you want to call the conflict is that breaking your morning meal, which is your breakfast, when you're sleeping, you're not eating, right? So you're sleeping if you're getting your sleep like you should be, 7 hours or so, You move around, you're getting ready, you're sitting down, and you're going to eat something at 8 or 9 if you want to. What is that? You're breaking what? It's called break dash fast. So that meal that you're about to consume, all you're doing is breaking the night fast when you haven't eaten. That's what it means. Now, just like I said here, why not go a couple more hours without eating, or 3 or 4 more hours without eating? Because if you haven't had any calories while you're asleep between the feeds, you basically run out of sugar or glucose to be used as energy, because that's the simplest source of energy the body is going to go after anyway. So why not deplete it all? And you have, by the time you wake up in the morning, you've depleted it. You've activated these hormones that are designed to start your day off, and that's why you're not hungry. So why not go 2 or 3 more hours, right? So, like I said, there's several considerations to determine if skipping breakfast or skipping dinner works for you. First consideration is the meals are not equal. Okay? If you look at the large average, so if you take an average of people tend to eat least amount of bread or food than lunch and dinner. Lunch and dinner for most people are your biggest meals. So 30 to 50% of your calories are coming from where? Lunch and dinner. So basically breakfast is not as much food. Now, how many of you, most of you that work, that have a 40-hour work week job, you guys will start your morning off, you've got to get dressed, take showers, you got to be at work at a certain time, you got to make your coffee. And, most of you miss breakfast anyway because you don't have time to eat. And besides, the research has also shown that breakfast time is at least a time when you're sitting down with the family to eat, because everybody's in a hurry. Is that correct? Yeah, it is. So by looking at breakfast, like I said, it's the least amount of food. So that's the first consideration. Okay. The second consideration is how easy will it be to fit this into your life schedule? See, that's the key factor right there. So the second consideration is it easier to skip breakfast because you're already not hungry, you're already in a hurry, the family's in a hurry, everybody's late, the kids are late, you got to get them to school, so it's easier just to go ahead and say, I'm just going to have a cup of coffee and I'll get something at Starbucks at 10 o'clock when I'm dropping the kids off. So it fits in your lifestyle, most people's lifestyle, much, much easier. Now for us, it fits in our lifestyle because we like to work out at 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and we don't eat before we lift weights. So it's very convenient for us. So skipping breakfast is just much easier for most of you. Now, some of you guys will grab a meal. I've got some people that say that they actually don't even eat their first meal till 12. And they've gone through about an 18-hour fast. Now, dinner is much harder to skip. Dinner is considered a social meal. Do you agree upon that? Well, I do, because it really is. Our fasting days, or when we're doing a higher fat, low carb meals, is basically we have Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We don't, it's a non-fasting day, which was all high fat meals that day. Our calories are much higher. We're eating multiple meals. Sundays is whatever we want to do. But Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays are our fasting days. Usually 23-1. We break our fast at 23 hours with some kind of a lean protein. Hour later, we have our main meal. Okay? But what happens if a family event interferes with those days? Well, the 23-hour fasting works great because most of our family events are in the evening anyway. If one of the kids invite us for dinner, or what about our date night on Friday nights? Well, okay, if we do a date night on Friday nights, and our last meal is going to be at 6 o'clock. So even on our fasting days, we can still do a family event. Now, what if some friends of ours from church invite us out to dinner on a Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday night? Well, it's a social time, right? It's a time when you guys sit down with your family. So it's really, if you're thinking, well, gosh, dang, Bill, I mean, I would really, it looks to me like the evening, which I'll explain to you, the missing your meal in the evening might accelerate fat burning even more. And the reason for that is why I just mentioned it in this outline. Lunch and dinner are your biggest meals. Most of you guys, dinner time is a bigger meal. And so you consume a lot of starchy carbs. You're putting a lot of sugar in your body there. So the third consideration, skipping breakfast fits your daily schedule very easily. It is less social for most of us, and that including me. It also makes it easier to become a habit. When it becomes a habit, it is much easier to stay consistent. Okay? So then the outcome here is obviously for most of us, skipping breakfast would be the easiest thing to do. Now, Emily and I, food no longer runs our lives at all. We can go without it if we want. But what really makes why skipping dinner is much harder was the one consideration was it's a social time. It is at the time of the day we seem to be the hungriest too. Remember what I said that graph that study showed that most people are the least hungriest in the morning at 8 o'clock, and most people are the hungriest in the evening time, which is the last meal. So it makes it harder, not only for the socializing part of it with your family, but it makes it harder because your appetite is increased more, even higher, because for decades you've been eating dinners at a certain time and you've been eating a lot of food, and the hormone that actually depresses appetite, or what I like to call this hormone a time clock, because it's going to tell you that if your dinner is normally around 6, the gremlin is going to activate around an hour, a half hour before 6, it seems like. And it's going to tell you, hey, Bill, 6 o'clock is coming around pretty soon here, so we want to get ready to eat. And of course, what do? We overeat. But if you can, once in a while, skip dinner, it will be the most effective way to accelerate fat burning or lower your blood sugar if you have type 2 diabetes. All because it is the largest meal of the day. So what do I mean here? Yeah, I'm saying that if you can, do your first meal 10 or 11 o'clock. Do your second meal at around 1, 2, or 3. And then don't eat if it fits in your schedule. Because what have you done? You've increased your fasting time. And most of your fasting time is going to be between the sheets while you're asleep. So are you going to dip into more of your fat cells that you've got stored up so your body can use them as fuel. Your body needs fuel for energy to get ready the next morning, right? So if you haven't had any calories since 3 o'clock, how quickly are you going to deplete all that sugar and glucose while you're asleep, and when you wake up and then you don't eat again until 10 o'clock? You're going to burn a lot of those stored fat cells for energy, and your body is not going to starve. And why is that? It's going to acclimate. You do it a few times, your body acclimates to doing that, and it becomes easier, easier, and easier. Okay. Now, a quick note about hunger, especially when you're trying to skip dinner, is hunger does not continue to build when you skip your dinner. And so, if you do hit, and this is how we have to explain to our online personal clients. If you do hit, or if a hunger wave does hit at 5 or 6, it doesn't keep building, getting worse and worse. It eventually will depress, okay? But there's actually a way to depress it faster, so you don't have to. I mean, even there's a couple of ways that we use that we promote that helps our online personal clients go through a 36, 42, or a 48-hour fast. Even if they do get a hunger wave and it knocks it down, it actually takes that hormone there's 2 or 3 hormones that will actually activate and tell your brain, even though you're not hungry because you've got plenty of food sitting in those fat cells, but these hormones are going to sabotage your fasting because it activates, it sends a signal to the brain saying, hey man, it's time to eat. You've missed 3 meals, so let's make up for it. That's what's going to happen. But there's a way. There's a way to knock that hormone back down again and put it back to sleep. And in the outline in the video, I'll put those. There's actually I'll just give you a couple of them. There's green tea or black coffee that suppresses the appetite. This one here probably it works great. This one really works, and the other ones I'll put in the outline. But this one here is probably our #1 go-to way to knock down the appetite, because most of you are dehydrated anyway. And so most of you, when you get a hunger wave, you're not really hungry, you're totally dehydrated, and your electrolytes are not balanced. You got imbalanced electrolytes, and that's going to activate and sabotage your fasting also. You got to keep on top of that, because when you're fasting, guys, you're depleting a lot of water out of your body, and the kidneys is dumping all that water out, and it's, along with the water is your mineral content in your body, and you got to replace those minerals with electrolyte. You got to replace them. So we always recommend somebody who's fasting to drink at least a gallon of water a day, minimum a half a gallon. But you need to do a 1/4 teaspoon of pink sea salt, which is your natural electrolytes, at least 3 to 4 times a day. Sometimes I have to even do it more because I'm going to a longer fast. I'm doing 36-hour fast or a 42-hour fast. And so that by drinking the amount of water per day is going to keep you full anyway, and it's going to keep you hydrated, and it's going to keep that hormone that activates appetite depressed. On top of that, you're having your pink sea salt 3 or 4 times a day. Sometimes I have to do it 5 times a day. And that's going to replace the electrolytes that your kidneys have dumped out throughout the day. So I've had multiple clients come back to me. Not only my fat loss clients, but my type 2 diabetic clients come back to me over a period of time, just in a few weeks, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of being on our 2 programs. Come back to say, well, I have no appetite. because because they're staying consistent on the water they're drinking, the amount of pink sea salt they're drinking, and they're staying on top of it, and they're following the plan. And in my program, I give them a hydration schedule of when is the best time to drink your water and sea salt, so to prevent a hunger wave from happening. Now, sometimes you have to do extra, and that's okay because your body is still trying to get acclimated to switching over to burning fat. See, the body's going to finally realize, because the body, see, science has always said that these two programs that we offer on online personal coaching have been around for 2,000 years. That's a scientific fact. Fasting and high fat. I mean, you guys can look up your ancestors and see how they live. Well, the body. So if it's been around for 2,000 years, our body was not designed to burn carbohydrate as its main energy source. The body was designed to burn fat as its main energy source. We screwed it up by eating too high of starchy carbs, and that's why this country is so fat. That's why there's an obesity epidemic amongst the young and the old. That's why there's a type 2 diabetic epidemic amongst the young and the old. And cancer is part of this too. Your diet, your cancer is hormone and food driven as well. Most all cancer is. It's your lifestyle. It's what's happened now. There's some cancer that is activated by trauma. So it's obviously not the food you eat, but trauma caused to activate it. Some cancers are caused by that. So, guys, like I said, you go to my YouTube channel, type in Bill Mabry, subscribe to it. Go to the description section there, and I'll put the outline in there. I'm not sure if I'm going to post this on my WordPress blog post or not. My WordPress blog post is Fat Loss Made Easy Solution blog. That's the link. I might just post this in that blog, but I'm going to use this in my training modules for my online personal coaching, because it's what that training module is I've done a whole bunch of different questions and answers. So instead of when somebody signs up for a package or buys my course, instead of them faxing or texting me all the time or email me all the time, they just got to go into the ebook. I made it into an ebook, and they just have to look up the topics, and that will answer their questions, so they don't have to keep contacting me. So this is probably going to go in there, guys. So guys, I hope you saw some value. I hope you got an understanding that skipping. Should you skip breakfast or dinner? It all depends on your schedule. That's the biggest thing. Like I said, meal is a social time. So I mean, dinner time is a social time. So that's the hardest one. But if you can do it every so often, if it works to your schedule, you need to do that, because you'll actually get into an environment that is known by science as being a very healthy environment. Longer fasting, autophagy. You guys have heard me talk about that. So guys, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it was some good information for you. And I'll see you guys at the next video. You guys have a great day. Bye.